principal of St. Vincent College of Education and other principals present, the executives of the Teacher Trainees Association of the Northern sector of the country, students, and other invited guests. I deem it a great privilege to address you at this great conference of yours. I wish I was there among you, shaking hands with you, but an urgent assignment has taken me away to another part of the country. So I come to you today through this video, congratulating you for successfully organizing this conference, and to let you know that even though I may not be present with you, that I'm with you in spirit. I wish you the best of conference deliberations, and I hope out of this conference, great ideas will emanate that will help us reimagine teacher training, policy, practice, in a way that will lead us to ensure that teachers who are trained in our colleges of education perform their duty with alacrity, and that their work will lead to the transformation of our nation. Let me begin to emphasize that the role of education in national transformation should inform the policy and practice and partnerships that we establish in the area of teacher training. I know some of you are on your way out, about to graduate from your college, others have just begun, and many others will follow your steps. In all, we need a vibrant force, a vibrant cadre of educators to man our colleges, to man our schools across the country, and to ensure that education play its rightful role as the most important socio-economic transformation agent. Education of teachers cannot be done in a vacuum. Whether you talk about policy, you talk about practice, you talk about partnership, this deliberation cannot be had in a vacuum. We have to understand that we are in the fourth industrial revolution. The first industrial revolution was the revolution of the steam engine. Africa was not part of it for the most part. Electricity then came industries. We were not at the forefront of that either. Then came the era of computers. Yes, we have used computers in our daily work, but we were not the ones who created or actually manufactured the various parts that is used in assembly of computers. Now we are in the fourth industrial revolution, a revolution where we are merging the electrical and or the physical and biological. You can enter your house with biometric indicators. You can just use your thumb, you can use your eyes, whichever way your house can open for you to enter. We are in a different era, the era of artificial intelligence, the era where we need to be equipped with the requisite skills in order to produce critical thinking individuals who can change the fortunes of our nation. This kind of era demands the education system, the training of teachers, respond to the rapid transformation of teaching and learning around the world, the rapid transformation in the industrial sector that is taking place through artificial intelligence and many, many other systems that has been created in this era. This brings me to a very important aspect of what you asked me to talk about, reimagining education of teachers, policy, practice, and partnership. How do we reimagine education of teachers in our nation? We reimagine it by looking at the current needs of our nation. We reimagine education by looking at the role we expect it to play in the transformation of our nation. Let me tell you a very simple story, a story of how the then president of China in the late 1970s, Deng Xiaoping, traveled to Japan, saw Japanese transformation. He couldn't believe it, that a nation in their hemisphere was developing rapidly ahead of China. Then goes back to China, decided that Chinese fortunes had to change and that their nation had to be transformed. That began the transformation of China. All the skyscrapers that you are seeing, the beautiful buildings you are seeing, the railways that are being built in China are being built by Chinese and not by some external agents or some skilled labor from UK or US or Japan. They are Chinese who are building the fast speed train. Chinese are building some of the tallest buildings in the world. Chinese are building electric cars. They are building new trains. They are building everything imagined and unimaginable. Everything is happening in China. But how did it begin? After his visit to Japan, went back to China. One of the first initiatives was to train mathematics teachers or retrain mathematics teachers. They sent teachers to Japan, US, and UK to be trained in the best ways possible in terms of how to teach mathematics. As soon as the teachers started coming back, he set a goal for engineering education and built engineering universities. That led to the education of the graduation of 50,000 engineers per year. This goal was to be increased to 200,000, and they met the goal. And today we are talking about, some estimates are saying between 600,000 and a million engineers every year in China. All the kind of transformation that you are seeing has been powered by Chinese. Human capital has been developed, and their nation is going through transformation. So if we want to talk about reimagining teacher education, we should be talking about reimagining it to serve a very important purpose, the purpose of socioeconomic transformation of our nation. The nations that we started our independence journey with today are way ahead of us. Think of Singapore. Think about South Korea, a country that whose per capita income was below ours, and today they are first world. Everything is changing. So I don't want to talk about reforming teacher education, reimagining teacher education, without looking at the context that our education system, our training of teachers, should focus on equipping the teachers to then equip our schools with our students with the requisite skills so that we can produce the human capital necessary for our socioeconomic transformation. The partnerships that we need to set up can be partnership between colleges of education and universities, can be partnership between our colleges of education and other training institutions around the world. We have to begin to take a look at how other countries did it and how we can also do it. We need to equip our schools with 21st century tools so that the teachers, after they are trained, can enter our schools and deliver the instruction according to the current best practices. You know, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education has gained steam in Ghana, at least under us, under our administration. STEM education became so popular. If we are to move on in the area of STEM education, then we need to make sure we infuse STEM education into our teacher training programs. We also have to begin to take a look at how we train teachers for primary schools, junior high schools, and high schools. Our colleges of education should be equipped to train teachers for all the three levels. Teachers can be trained to equip our primary schools, kindergartens, junior high schools, and high schools out of our colleges of education. We have to separate multiple teaching licenses from single subject teaching licenses, which means if you go to St. Vincent College of Education and you want to teach at high school, you should be able to do that at St. Vincent. This is what I foresee happening as we reimagine our education system or reimagining how we train the teachers for the 21st century. We also have to begin to understand that Ghana's place in the world will not come to the conclusion that we want if our children don't have 21st century skills. If our children are not trained to think critically, as I said recently in New York at United Nations Transforming Education Conference, that we cannot memorize our way out of poverty, but we can innovate out of poverty. To innovate out of poverty means teachers have to be familiar with the New Bloom's taxonomy. The highest level of learning under the New Bloom taxonomy is creation, when you create something. So if you want students to be critical thinkers, you don't just ask them to describe what is pollution, why pollution is bad, but you may ask them to create a city without pollution. As they begin to deliberate on that, you are using the 4 C's of learning. The first C, collaboration. You talk about critical thinking, the second C. You talk about you talk about critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. So as you deliberate on how to create a city without pollution, you also have equipped the student with the 4 C's of learning. That is how you create a new labor force that will transform your fortunes as a nation. So we just cannot begin and end at the lowest level of the new Bloom's taxonomy. We have to begin from the lowest level to the highest level possible to really create the next generation of Ghanaians who will be assertive individuals, who will begin to challenge the status quo. And teachers, I want to encourage you to understand, the more you empower your students, the more you become empowered. So do not be afraid of opening up your classroom to discussions by the young one. Create a framework for them to begin to look at the 21st century skills acquisition of digital literacy, blended learning, and AI integration. This should be present in your classrooms. Begin to look at how you create portfolios. And in fact, students can create e-portfolios. You can create an environment where these students will begin to see that you are the enabler of learning in their space. Of course, discipline is important. But as a teacher, I've come to realize that if you can set the parameters for deliberation in your classroom, when you begin to ensure that students understand why they are in school, when students get to know that you are there because you care, you minimize indiscipline in your teaching and learning environment. It is when you want to impose your superiority over children and to let them know that you better keep quiet. I'm the teacher, I'm the boss. That is when some of them may begin to look at how do we challenge your authority. But if you begin to share your life story with these children, you begin to let them know that I'm here because I care. I care about you. I want your future to be better even than mine. You're going to see children who reciprocate that kind of gesture with the highest discipline possible. They will come to your classroom fully attuned to the dictates of you, the teacher. Yes, the Ghanaian teacher, one of the finest in the world. When you begin to let the children know how much you care about them, they will care about you and discipline will be minimized. I'm not saying that it is all easy when you step into a classroom. But I've been to an environment where things were very difficult. Children were very tough to handle. And yet I found a way to deal with them. I remember one early morning in my classroom in Los Angeles, California, when a student who was early morning in the classroom was sleeping. I woke him up and said, "Hey, Johnny, wake up." Johnny looked up and looked at me and said, "Am I bothering you? Look at the children who are talking in the class. I'm just sleeping. Allow me to sleep." That was in the United States of America. I had to find a way to become one of the finest teachers there, eventually becoming a principal, eventually to become a CEO of a network of schools, over 2,000 students, around 200 teachers and staff, did everything possible to produce the best from a very challenging environment. I believe in you. I know you can, and there's no other profession better than yours. I believe when you open your heart and you decide that you want your children to become the best in the world, they will become the best in the world. There's no better tool than a motivating teacher, a teacher who believes in his or her children and make them know that I'm here for you, I'm here. And in case you need a listening ear, come, talk to me. I want you to become the best in the world. The moment the children know that you want to be the best, you want them to be the best in the world, they will become the best in the world. There's something about a teacher who motivates his children and ensure that they become the best in the world. I believe in you. I know you guys can be the finest the world has ever known, and you're going to be the finest group of teachers our nation has ever known. But prepare for the new world, that is ahead of us and that which is with us now. And I know with you, through you, Ghana will become the kind of nation we want it to be. A transformed nation where we wage war against poverty and win. A transformed nation where every one of us will have an opportunity to blossom. God bless you. God bless your association. And God bless our homeland, Ghana.